In this bulletin, New South Wales records 50 new cases of COVID-19. More details emerge about a home quarantine trial in South Australia. And in sport, tennis world number one Ash Barty to meet Karolina Pliskova in the finals at Wimbledon tonight. Good afternoon, Claire Slattery with SBS News. New South Wales has recorded another 50 local cases of COVID-19 as authorities continue to be concerned about the number of people moving around the community while infectious. 37 of the new cases were in the community for some or all of their infectious period. Police have also issued 167 infringement notices to people breaking lockdown rules. The Premier, Gladys Berejiklian, would not rule out extending the lockdown if the numbers don't improve.
Can I please ask people not to pay too much attention to commentary or what people who aren't experts might have to say. What we need to rely on is the health advice, and the length of this lockdown is up to each and every one of us. It's up to whether all of us choose to do the right thing and stick by the rules, or whether too many of us think that it's okay to flout the rules. Now, that is what will determine how long we're in lockdown for.
47 people are now in hospital in New South Wales with coronavirus. That includes a teenager in ICU and 19 people aged under 55. The state's Chief Health Officer, Kerry Chant, says COVID is not just an old person's disease.
COVID is a severe disease associated with hospitalisation and, tragically in some circumstances, death. It is critical that we follow the stay-at-home rules. I'm making an impassioned plea for the community this weekend to follow diligently the advice we've provided.
People in Victoria and Tasmania have been ordered to isolate after a passenger on a flight between the two states later tested positive to COVID-19. A health worker at the Launceston General Hospital had tested negative before leaving Tasmania, but returned a positive test in London 2 days after leaving Australia. Several exposure sites have been listed in Tasmania, with people who are casual contacts asked to isolate and get tested. Victoria's COVID testing commander, Jerome Weimer, says 61 passengers on flight QF1542 from Launceston, which stopped over in Melbourne, have also been affected.
It is an exceptionally long shot, but out of an abundance of caution, both ourselves working closely with the Tasmanian Public Health team have decided to take that very precautionary stance to make sure that any remote chance of this person being positive while they were in Tasmania or the 4 hours they were in Melbourne, that we just run that to ground. So my thanks to the 61 passengers who have been contacted. If you could please isolate and get your test results, that would be great.
Australia has now administered 9 million doses of vaccine against coronavirus, including 1 million in the past 7 days. It comes as more details emerge about a trial of home quarantine for South Australia. The federal government says those in home quarantine will need to be vaccinated in Australia, but that could change over time. They'll also be required to use a mobile app with GPS to track their movements. The Tourism Minister, Dan Tehan, says if the trial is successful, it could be expanded to other states by Christmas.
That would be wonderful if we could reach that milestone. I think all of us would like to see something like that occurring. Obviously, it would depend on Australians continuing to roll up their sleeves and get vaccinated. And as I've said, 9 million today, and we're really seeing a step up and a ramp up of the vaccine rollout. So if we can continue down that track, then ultimately it would be wonderful to be able to see home quarantine being used in the lead up to Christmas.
Labor says it supports the trial of home quarantine, but the federal opposition leader, Anthony Albanese, says the real issue is the lack of a national quarantine program.
So let's get the big picture right. Let's concentrate on getting that right. This government continually comes up with measures, trials, look over here moments. The fact is, until we get the rollout of the vaccine right and until we get national quarantine right, will continue to have lockdowns.
Disability advocates have welcomed the decision by the federal government to give up its plans to bring in independent assessments for participants of the National Disability Insurance Scheme. During a meeting on Friday, several states and territories stated their strong opposition to the controversial proposal over concerns of a one-size-fits-all model taking away choice. People with Disability Australia President Samantha Connor says the backdown by the federal government is significant.
This has been one of the biggest issues looming for us. We're not out of the woods yet. They still intend to change the legislation, and the bill will be landing. We have some serious concerns about the changes, especially around the proposals that algorithms are going to determine our funding. But in terms of a win, this is a really significant strategic win for the disability community.
NDIS Minister Linda Reynolds says she'll be seeking more consultation from her state and territory counterparts for amendments to the scheme. In tennis, women's world number one Ash Barty will meet the Czech Republic's Karolina Pliskova in the finals at Wimbledon tonight. Barty is the first Australian woman in 41 years to reach this stage of the tournament since her idol and mentor Yvonne Goolagong, who won the title in 1971 and 1980. The game is scheduled to start at 11 o'clock Eastern Australian time. And now for a look at tomorrow's weather. Perth, mostly sunny, 19 degrees. Adelaide, partly cloudy and 17. Melbourne, partly cloudy and 15. Hobart, mostly sunny, 13. Canberra, partly cloudy, 13. Wollongong, a few showers, 17. Sydney, much the same and 17. Newcastle, a few showers and 18. Brisbane, partly cloudy, 21 degrees. Cairns, mostly sunny, 26. Darwin, a sunny day and 34 degrees. That's the latest SBS News.